Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So here they are. These are my brand new Rays TE37XT M-Spec wheels on my 2022 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. And I am obsessed. I think it came out extremely well. I was a little reluctant, I was a little nervous, especially given the price tag of these things. They're right around $3,000. And that really is if you can get them and get them in a timely fashion. Most folks are unfortunately out of stock of them, and it requires you to order straight from Japan, which can take several months, unfortunately. So I lucked out, really. I went through Vivid Racing, and they happened to have one last set of these Blast Black 17-inch wheels here, 17 by 8.5 wheels with a -20 offset. I think the typical recommendation, if you will, is -10 offset. So I went a little bit further, a little bit wider stance, which looks phenomenal, but I think it requires just a little bit more finesse and a little bit more trimming to make it perfect. So I'll show you what I did in this video. I'll walk you around, I'll let you see all the different angles, and I'll dissect exactly what I did as far as trimmings go a little bit more in a subsequent video. But this will kind of be the wave tops video for you guys to really just show it off, as I absolutely love how it turned out. So you may notice quickly, but I do not have wheel caps for it just yet. So that is one thing that was backlogged that I had to order from Japan. So it's going to take a little bit longer to get those. I ended up going with the black chrome for a Rays forged center caps. So I'm excited to get those. It's not a matching black, so I'm curious to know what it's going to look like. I've seen a couple photos and they appear to look pretty cool, pretty sleek. My OCD kicked in, particularly with this set of wheels, because there's an opportunity to make them look extra symmetrical when it comes to the white lettering, of course. As you see there, I did make the request to have them center, the best they could anyway, the BFGoodrich over the Volk Racing, etching here on the side, lip of the rim. And then, of course, the other side there would be on the other Volk Racing. So is that a bit, I hate being that customer, really hate being that guy, the OCD customer. They always love you. But they were awesome at Discount Tire, so they're super accommodating, super understanding too, as they know that these are not cheap wheels, and if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right and make it look good. So they're totally understanding and super supportive of it. So hats off to Discount Tire, as they typically are my go-to for all tires. So let me show you the front, kind of down the side, and I think I love the amount of tire poke. I think on the Tacoma in particular, having tire poke is such a good fitting look. For those of you who don't know, the 2022 Tacoma TRD Pro came with a little bit of a lift. So it is 1.5 inches higher, technically up front, and 1/2 inch higher in the rear. I mean, it's debatable, depending who you talk to, really, but it is supposedly a little bit higher. So I kind of held my breath on that a little bit, hoping that that would allow these 285s, 285, 70, 17 tires to fit a little bit more comfortably. And I am pleased with how it turned out. So there's kind of one more peek down. So I'll walk around here. I'll just kind of do a full walk around, and then we'll dissect it a little bit more up close. The fronts look especially good because they kind of have that black center hub grommet there, which looks great, right? It's subtle. Whereas the back, unfortunately, they have the bare metal showing. I'll show you here up close here in a second. I just love the way that came out. It looks awesome. So I'll show you real quick the back end. So you see what I mean. You got the bare metal right here in the center, which does not look so good. So I'm sure it'd be an easy fix, make that black, and it'll look great, or even replicate, of course, that rubber grommet here in the back. I've seen people do that, but thankfully I was able to get my hands, well, at least get a good order in on those black darkened chrome Rays center caps. So I'll get those maybe the first week of June here. Excited to get them. So as you see in the rear, you may recall, this one did come with the OEM mud flaps, so I kept them on in the rear because it didn't really matter as far as clearance goes, right? But up front, of course, we had to remove them, as well as perform some trimming. So I'll do a kind of a wave top of what I did, and at this point in time, I can drive comfortably forward at full lock turns, but once I reverse, that's when I catch a little bit. So in the back here, I ended up trimming off this piece. Let me show you. Maybe I didn't grab the right side. But this right here, and I'll show you this a little bit better in different videos, but that's the piece I ended up trimming off. Because even though it's only protruding really just a couple centimeters, it was enough to where whenever you turned, it would definitely snag it every single time. But right now, we're in a position where it doesn't catch. That's awesome. The front, let me grab it here. The front was the big issue when it came to catching. So let me see if I can actually focus a little bit better for you. So right here, I had to trim off quite a bit, and you can see a little bit of my rubbing happening right there. Not too bad, but here, you normally had this extension piece. Maybe I'm not holding it up correctly. It might be for the other side that I have right here. But anyways, you trimmed off this piece here because it protruded another about 1.5 inches really up until this point. And the creative thing that I did, and this might be a standard approach, I'm sure some of you might scoff or really rise at it, but I ended up drilling a hole, a tiny little hole into the black. So into this piece here, if you can see, a tiny hole there, and then with a zip tie, I connected this to the actual green of the front bumper here. So it allowed me to pull back this black piece toward the front of the vehicle a little bit more. With the zip tie, it's underneath here, so it's not visible. It's not a huge eyesore looking at it, but it sucks this toward the front of the vehicle another about a half inch or about 1 inch or so. So again, just giving it a little bit more clearance, and I think it looks okay. Obviously, it's never a good look to have, you know, trimming up a brand new 2022 truck, but it's not a huge eyesore, and it allows this to work comfortably. You know, granted, to be fair, as soon as I start off-roading, if I were to off-road this, any bit of articulation, of course, is gonna catch, is gonna rub. So it would require some additional effort, perhaps a bigger lift, you know, just some additional work to make this the most ideal setup in an off-road environment. But for what I will use it as, I love it. I think it just looks fantastic. I'll show you from the back end here too. You guys tell me if me asking to do the centering of the white lettering, if that's a bit too much, if that's a little over the top. You tell me if you would do that. But like I said, they were super receptive to it and just awesome about it, very accommodating. So it's kind of that back quarter angle. Down the side from the rear. I just love that. I mean, the alternative to getting, you know, if I was going to put 285s on the stock 16-inch wheels, it definitely would have required some spacers up front, given that upper control arm. That forged TRD upper control arm is just too bulky at this point, so whenever you were to turn inward, it would catch at this point. I'll kind of show you real quick. So, although this is awesome, it's definitely much more beefy, it would probably catch right here, just because, you know, it protrudes so much more than the previous, you know, just simple black one that was on it. So it would require me to do at least spacers up front had I kept the OEM TRD wheels, which I think look fantastic, don't get me wrong, and I'll likely just kind of keep a hold of those come time to sell it, because we know that will never happen, but I'll keep a hold of them for that time. In the meantime, enjoy this amazing look. So I didn't realize how quote-unquote lucky, maybe you guys can tell, maybe I wasn't lucky, but the more I read up on TE37s, the fact that I was able to find a set black, of all things, and blast black in the appropriate size that was actually available and then sent off within a week is a pretty rare occurrence. So super grateful for that. Actually, one thing I did not talk about at all are the Rays lug nuts. So decided to go with these Rays lug nuts, and obviously to fit the look of it. And I think they just look fantastic. Yeah, sorry guys, I didn't really clean it up at all. Just kind of got them on today and did some trimming and doing a video for you guys before the sun goes down. But oh, we got a cat feature. Okay, all right guys, well, wanted to show it to you. Let me know what your thoughts are. You know, for anybody who's done 285s, you know, what were the trimmings that you did? You know, the next step that I would consider doing would be to trim this piece right here. So right here is the only other spot where it's actually catching at this point when I reverse. So if there's a way for me to clean that up without making it look too ugly, that'll be the next step. I was just trying to avoid that. So, all right guys, well, I will wrap up the video there. Just wanted to share this with you as I'm definitely excited. So let me know what your thoughts are, and as always, appreciate you watching. Until next time.